Hey and welcome, it's Tutorial O'Clock. My name is Mr. Popo and we are Popo. In this part 2 of GMUNK glitch tutorial, we're gonna go over how we're gonna do that environment particle glitchy thing. We're gonna add a little bit of color correction and we're gonna make sure that we're gonna like and subscribe this video. Alright, let's go. Okay, here's where we stopped last time. So we made sure we do the transition, the initial one. We made sure we do those glitch thing in the environment. Now, let's take a look on how we're gonna use form. Okay, so in this composition that we're just gonna put it here for explanation, I have imported a picture. Let's just say this one. Okay, so I'm gonna close this. Now I'm gonna go and create a new solid. I'm gonna call it form. Then I'm gonna call in for the Trapcode form plugin. I'm gonna put it there. So right off the start, we have this shape here. And just so that you can know what this is, I'm gonna create a camera and I'm gonna rotate around. So this is what form does. It just generates for us points or particles, and we can generate them in a 3D way. So let's see what we can do with this. So obviously we have a lot of steps that we can go through, but due to time, I'm just gonna go through the ones that we really need. So the base form, this is what your particles are gonna be like how big are they gonna cover the screen? How many of them are they? All right, so for example, here, I'm gonna add a lot of particles on X, so you can see that on X, we're adding more and more and more particles. Same thing here, the more, the less. And then of course, how many particles do we want in Z? For example, here we have 3. If we want more, we can just increase more. If we want less, we can just go and increase less. All right, so I'm just gonna turn this off. Now, when it comes to the particle size, it means how big is my particle generated? Like how much are they gonna cover the screen? So here, what you can see is XYZ linked. But what I can do is I can also do an individual, like just cover exactly the screen that I have here. Then, obviously, as you can see here, if I add more particles here, and a little bit of particles here, I can rotate this. And I can have some pretty interesting holographic animations and kind of visual effects. You know, it's like you have this hologram that is rotating. And what's really awesome about this is that you can even load an OBJ and you can have this Ghost in the Shell kind of holographic Tron thingy. So that's how it's done. It's you import your OBJ, you put it here, and then you generate it using this. But right now, we're just gonna get back to how we were, and we're gonna reset everything. All right, so I'm just gonna keep one. I don't need the camera anymore. And I'm just gonna make sure that we are gonna generate exactly the same composition size, which is 1920 and 1080. The reason I went to individual, it's because if I do linked, it's gonna be more than this. And my picture is not like that. So I'm just gonna go create a new composition. I'm gonna call this picture test. And I make sure it's 1920 by 1080, whatever my solid Trapcode form is. And I'm gonna go and bring in this picture. The reason I'm doing this is because this picture right here, number 2, is too big. I just want this much, for example. Okay. Now I'm gonna go and bring in the picture test here and I'm gonna close it. Now, how do we generate particles from this? So to do this, it's really simple. And I'm gonna go to layer maps. So this is a map to, you know, control the form. So I don't need it to be on, I just need it to be there. I'm gonna go to the size, choose my particle test. I don't see anything because I still didn't tell Trapcode form where do I want to map it over. Do I want to map it on X and Y, or do I want to, you know, map it on the X and Z? But here I don't have Z, I only have X and Y. That's all I care about. And there you go. But obviously you can't see much. But if we go and increase the particle that we have here, it's gonna start to make sense. Well, what's really beautiful about this technique, and that's why I like it, it is fully 3D. Now, I'm just gonna go and delete this, and I can just go and say around 500, but then I'm gonna do something interesting here and say, oh, the particle, this is the size of them. But then I can even have them random. So some particles are big and some are small. And if I want them to not be feathered or to be feathered, I can still control that. Same thing with the opacity. I can even control that if I want. All right, so this is how you read a picture using Trapcode form. Now let's get back to our tutorial. So here I have my form shoe. All I need to do is I need my picture of the shoe. So I'm gonna go to the first one because this is the first thing that we're gonna try to focus on. So I'm gonna go bring it, put it into here, make a new composition and call this form shoe. All right, now in the form shoe, I'm gonna go and bring in the shoe thing here. But then I will only use just roughly get the shoe form in there. All right, now that we have the shoe, that's it. That's all there is into this composition. I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna bring in my form shoe and I'm gonna put it here. Now I will bring in the effect form, put it in there, wait a bit, go to the base form, make sure that this is 1920 by 1080 before I do anything else. I don't need Z because this is just a very normal 2D picture. I'm gonna go to first before I do anything else. I'm gonna go and bring in the picture. So it's a form shoe and it's on XY. Now I have it there, but I don't have many particles. So I'm gonna go and do that. So I could say like 300 by 300. I'm starting to see a bit. That's pretty awesome. Now what I could do, I could just turn this off, put it on add mode so that they really stand up. And I'm just gonna go and add more particles sizing to this. So first I want them to be really random and I want a bit of a bigger size here. So I'm gonna go here and make sure that this is actually parented to this picture because this picture is gonna start here, is gonna start moving. All right, so now it's actually moving with it. One thing for sure is that I really don't want them to be feathered that much. So I'm just gonna go and turn off the feather. And I don't want them to be sphere, I want them to be squared like that. That is really good. Now I'm just gonna go and make them a little bit smaller. All right, making them that small opens up a lot of opportunity for even more particles. I think it's a little bit too much, so I'm just gonna go like 320 by 320. That's perfect. Turn them a little bit size random. That's great. Okay. So I have the particle there, and then suddenly, that's amazing. What I could do here that would be amazing is to actually animate this. So I'm just gonna go to the end, go in, close in the composition, crop it, cool. Then I'm gonna go here, and this is where this is gonna start, which is pretty great. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna go to linear wipe, and I could do this if I feel like it. So linear wipe, you just take an image and you just wipe it. But I'm gonna do it this way. It's like it's gonna be revealed and it's just gonna be feathered. So if I go back here, you can see that it's actually affecting that place as well. So I'm gonna go and try to animate this. So we're gonna have nothing in the beginning, we're gonna have nothing, and then suddenly we're gonna have everything. We're gonna have everything. All right, so I'm just gonna cut this one to this. Great, so nothing, and then it's gonna start revealing. There we're gonna have the glitch, and then it's gonna transition to the next one. One thing for sure is I think it's a little bit too bright, isn't it? So let's try screen. Yeah, that's great. One thing for sure that I want to do is I'm just gonna go and copy this and just go and play with that a bit. Not too much, just a bit. And then I'm gonna add in a glow just to make this pop a little bit. I'm gonna control the glow a bit. I think this is yeah, just go slightly. Great. Yeah, just make it 3. Perfect. This is just perfect. All right, let's look. Dot, 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 dot. Let's hear with sound. Perfection. That's great. So before we go into making the form for the environment, let's fix something here that we're going to use as well in Trapcode environment. The one thing that I realize here is that yes, it animates in, but the one thing that really bothers me is how still it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go inside the evolution of this system, and that we can find it inside a fractal. So one way of animating this is I could just add a little bit of opacity. So what's going to happen is it's going to start animating, but that's just one thing. I'm just going to do like 2. But the one thing that we could do is we can play with, so this way our particles are actually moving. So we can just increase the offset evolution, and that way our particles are going to be moving as the time goes. So let's see this. So they're going to be moving and they're not going to be still. Now all I need to do is just copy this one. I'm going to call this form environment. For this one, we're going to use something a little bit trickier. I'm going to take this and I'm going to take this. All right. I'm going to duplicate them. Make sure that it's not Luma. All right. I'm going to make them in a new composition. I'm going to call them transition environment. Great. So this is what I have here. All right. So I'm going to go this, bring it here, and I'm going to go to Trapcode environment. And instead of using the layer map of shoe, I'm going to use the Trapcode environment. So now, as you can see, Trapcode is reading the whole environment. But let's see what's going to happen here. Is that as it transitions, Trapcode is transitioning as well with it. But it's a little bit too big. That's exactly what you said again. So I'm gonna go and make these a little bit smaller. 100%, that's for sure. And they're gonna be slightly small. 1, 2, yeah. And I'm gonna make sure that the fractal is just like around 2. And I'm gonna go and get a great color because I don't think that one is really cutting it out. So I'm just gonna go and get this kind of color. Now this is making much more sense and I really like it this way. So inside the glow, I'm gonna increase the glow a bit. If I don't, I can see that it's glowing, but it's not going there. So I'm gonna go and add it. And then I'm gonna go and duplicate this glow to add even more, but this time I'm gonna increase that and just increase the threshold, bring this down until it becomes like this. And I'm gonna go inside here and make sure size is just somewhere around 1. So now we're having all this scan going on and we have all our squares as needed. So our Trapcode form is going to change with the environment. That's why we copied both pictures to make sure we get picture perfect transition. That's great. Now, how do we make this better? Well, we make this better by adding a little bit of an adjustment layer. We're going to call this CC. The first thing that I like to do, I think this is a little bit too perfect. So I'm going to go and add a grain effect in here. This is just a preview, so I'm going to go and say that I want to see the whole image as a final output. I'm going to make sure it's 0.5. And yeah, you can see that the grain is actually playing a role there, as you can see. 0.25, just so that it doesn't become unreadable. Another thing I really like to do most of the time is adding a chromatic aberration, especially that this is glitching. So I'm going to go and add this chromatic aberration. I'm going to make sure it's 100%. And I'm just going to go and put smaller values, like 4. And this one, instead of, it's just going to be 3. Just going to do a 5. There we go, just a little bit. So I don't want to push it too much. I just want a bit of this. And if you get this kind of effect, basically you can just play with this one and you get it just right. So I'm just gonna go and increase this a bit. Just not too much, just a bit. There we go. And if you still don't like that, well, you can do the Hollywood strip that I like to do, which is I go to my shape layer, select nothing, make sure that this is black, double click to fill in your whole, the whole screen. I'm gonna select this shape layer again, make sure that I don't select the shape layer but the mask, and double click, and then hold Control to, you know, to move both sides, or else it's just gonna move one side. So Control to move both sides, do something like that, and change this into subtract, and then you've got that Hollywood kind of feeling there. Another thing you can add to actually fill in this, to make it look like it's actually seen through a camera, or maybe seen through a videotape or something, is to go and add a Venetian blinds. And I could just add in, as you can see here, I'm just gonna put the picture so that we can go fast. I'm gonna say 10, and then I'm gonna go here and put 4, then there we go. You have all the stripes there. So now it looks like it's actually looking from a camera. And what I can do now is I can add a little bit of HUD details to make this really feel like it's a camera. I can just leave it in, call this live, put it as well under this, make sure that it's white and not that big, 25 or something like so. Put this one here, and same thing, probably do another, instead of having that orange, a square circle blipping, what you can do is you can just go a little bit slightly overboard and just put actually a square in there. So I'm gonna call this live button, and I can just blip it by doing 0. I'm gonna go all the way back. So I'm gonna go 50, and then next 10 frames it's gonna go to 100, and then I can just go from here and do toggle hold keyframe. So what's gonna happen is that it's just gonna change as it gets there, and I'm just gonna go here, loop out, and I'm gonna use ping pong so that it keeps on playing back and forth. One thing I could do, actually, I could add is this one back. All right. So what could happen here, if I go to quarter, so that we can see this fast, is that it's gonna keep on playing like that. There we go. Another thing we can add is we're gonna take, I'm gonna make a new composition. I'm gonna call this Venetian map, and I'm gonna use slightly the same concept as Mosaic and Venetian that we just did, but we're gonna combine them together. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a solid. I'm gonna call this Venetian map, and I'm gonna put a fractal noise. I'm gonna put a fractal noise in there and put it as a block. Complexity is 1. Transform is gonna be pretty big, like so, because size matters. And I'm just gonna go and turn off most of these. Just turn off the ones that I really don't want. Great. And I'm just gonna go and do a linear color key. I'm just gonna go and bring in the black out. So that's what's gonna happen. Great. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a Venetian blinds into this one. So I'm gonna do a 10, and then I'm gonna do a 4, and then I'm gonna duplicate this one, and I'm gonna say it's gonna be 90 degrees. So now I'm gonna have this kind of texture there. It's pretty cool. Now we're gonna go back to tutorial. I'm gonna go to the CC map. I'm gonna put them up there. I'm just gonna do like that. What I could do actually is just turn it off. Just come here, put them here, and then I'm gonna have that one there. but it's not changing because it's not animated. So I'm just gonna go and say time supply 30. It's a little bit too small. 100. Yeah. So that's what's gonna happen. 100, 100, 100. So it's gonna keep on playing. As you can see here, it's gonna glitch away. So now I can even go and just turn this off so that I can see that these are the effect. So if you want to keep this one, you can keep it. If you want to remove it, you could remove it. But yeah, keeping it is good. Another thing you could do here that I haven't done, but you could add as well, which is I'm just gonna close all this, is radial blur. So radial blur, you get this, but no, I don't want it to spin, I want it to zoom in. So it's nothing, but as it moves in, I'll just say around 10. Here it goes back to 0. All right, so as it zooms in, as it's gonna increase. So you see that effect? The reason I'm going small, it's because it's gonna take so much time to load if I put it as 100%. If this is too much for you, so you could just do 10 and yeah, do it behind the Venetian blind. There we go. So that's the kind of effect that you get, which is really amazing because you are actually going in and not just, you know, stepping in. That's really good. One thing we could again add, I mean, I could add into this a lot, but if I should just say, all right, last tips, what I would do is I would duplicate this one and I'll just come here and cut this one. So what I would want to do with this one is to actually reverse this image wipe. So if I look at it, I have the image wipe coming. So let's just try to reverse this. I'm gonna go to the keyframes and make sure that it's reversed. Actually, it's the reverse. Oh, I don't even have them there. Okay, cool. So I'm just gonna go and reverse this. Okay, but what I want is I want them to actually completely go. All right, so what do I have here? It reveals and then it goes, but I don't want it to just go like that. All right, what I'm gonna add in here is I'm gonna add a mosaic. So watch this. So what I want is I want them to start with, let's just say 45, 45. Okay, like that. So 45, 45. And then it just, you know, goes away. So let's just say 300, 300. You see that? You see this effect? So it's like it's loading and then it just disappears. So if we actually put these on top of each other, this what it's gonna give us. We'll have to wait a bit. And oh, my camera suddenly appeared. Hello. Okay, so here you can see that the image is loading and then it just fades away. So yeah, that's kinda conclude the tutorial. As you can see, it's not that hard. It's pretty easy if you really know what you're doing. So let's look at it. Yeah, and then you can add some HUDs. As you can see here, I included the project under description if you want to get it. So you can see that I did a little bit of animation and bring in a little bit of HUD designs in there. Did some animation on the cube in a very old-fashioned way, and yeah, that's how you do a GMUNK transition, guys. Me to the end of the tutorial. I hope you liked it. If you did, please make sure that you don't forget to let me know in the comment and make sure you like. It's free, it doesn't cost you any money, and by doing so you support me enormously because I spent a lot of time doing this, recording, re-recording, and trying to figure it out, and of course paying electricity. My name is Mr. Popo. There are more tutorials that are coming up, And there are more tutorials that we've done. So I'll hope that you like this, and I'll see you on the next one. And no, I'm not gonna cover the camera. I'm just gonna go and cut it in post. I don't support covering the camera as a transition. It's too lame. All right, see you on the next one.